Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, only just woke up. Finally got out of my pit. Oh, dear me. It took a while, actually, to pry myself out of bed. Where do I begin with this one? Because Ireland is kicking off again. No, I'm not talking about football. Though it would be kind of fitting considering the t-shirt I'm wearing. No. Apparently, there's been a riot over in Dublin because allegedly there is a man in his 20s who has essayed a young girl who was in the care of Tulsa, a care agency basically. A 10-year-old girl effectively being violated, potentially by an invader. And yeah, it really did all kick off. We have 24 people, I believe, arrested and 3 injured right now. So there is that. But what strikes me more than anything is how indiscriminate the police have behaved. Because if it was them trying to obviously control the protesters and do what have you with the ones that are getting violent, then I've got no problem with that, as obviously the police have got to get back control. Where I have the problem with this two-tier policing society is the fact that, as I said, they were indiscriminate, and Ezra Levant and one of his other journalists also ended up getting a face full of pepper spray. Now, why on earth would these thugs in uniform, yes, I bear no love for the police, but why would these thugs in uniform go out of their way to attack a journalist? Why are they spraying people when they are holding cameras? Please explain. It's not like Ezra Levant went out of his way to stoke the violence. Tell you what, though, the lads are going to be hit with beer pretty hard, though, aren't they? Anyway, it's not like he went out of his way to be like, come on, lads, let's overthrow the Irish government. Did he? No, I'd like to think Ezra Levant just about has a little bit more common sense than that. So why the need to go after him? On top of that as well, the police also pepper sprayed somebody in a fucking wheelchair, of all things. It really is beggars belief. It really is. Now, in one of my other videos I'm going to upload, I'm basically premeditating this. I also mentioned the fact that basically the police are more than willing to get tough when it comes down to their own citizens, but they're not willing to crack down on those who threaten our society. They're not willing to grow a pair of balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to actually take on the people who are the real threat to both Ireland and the United Kingdom. They're not willing to get tough on these people because they fear a 6-letter word. I've seen what a lot of these jumped up gym bunnies can do. Hell, does anybody remember the time when we were in London? When we were standing outside the Old Bailey, and I think it was Tommy Robinson's, was it his second or his third appearance in the Old Bailey? And I didn't realise this at the time, I actually managed to sneak behind the police lines. I actually got into that little tunnel, which I'm guessing they use to basically get criminals or those who are guilty or whatever through that tunnel so they can get them in the back of a police van and basically whisk them away to jail. Well, I've seen what some of these jumped up little fuckers could do when I'm just sitting there filming everything, saying it's all kicking off, and we've got police, or one of them actually went, get back, get back, get back, when I've literally got my hands up and I've got a phone in the other hand. And I'm not exactly sitting here with a fucking 6-pack and looking like I only weigh 120 pounds, do I? I mean, It does. I get it. Devil's advocate. I do get it. They have to be aggressive because that's how they tend to control people who are violent. You have to have some kind of aggression and assertion as the police, because if you're just like, will you please stop doing that? They're not going to listen, are they? I do get that. But surely when I'm clearly unarmed, aside from my phone, which I'm hardly going to throw the fucking thing, am I, if I'm recording? Does beg the question, doesn't it? But our two-tier policing society, as I said, they're more interested in coming after us. They're more interested in going after the far right than they are actually doing their job and actually policing the streets rather than the tweets. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. But this Irish protest does far more than just showcase how ugly it's getting in Ireland. It's basically predicting the future for the United Kingdom as well. Because we're not exactly exempt from these kinds of scum. We're not exactly protected from these subhumans that see women as objects of pleasure and nothing more. Unfortunately, Epping's also had this problem, as well as other communities across the United Kingdom. Do we see our police actually doing their job? No, they actively covered up the R gangs when we were talking about them. Or rather, when Tommy Robinson was talking about them. They would rather just grab that rug and sweep everything under it in the hopes that nobody will notice. Anybody that tries to go against the grain, they come down like a ton of bricks, just like that. That's the trouble. Our police, they would be in a much better spot if they didn't have a track record of 60 seconds. Anyway, they wouldn't have such animosity directed at them if they actually had a bit more respect for the public and didn't have a track record of basically protecting the R's and the RGs. They would not be having half the issues they're having right now if they actually decided to do their fucking job, quite frankly. Now, let me be clear on this. As far as those protests in Ireland are concerned, I do not condone violence. I do not condone it. Far from it. But I completely understand their frustrations. I completely understand why they feel like this. Because this is fucking children we're talking about here. This is the most pure of souls being tainted, having their innocence taken away by some grown man. Well, I say man loosely, and I say it in the context of that's his biological sex, because a real man wouldn't do this, from most likely a third world shithole, taking advantage of these young girls. That's what this is. The police would do well to listen to the public. The public have been pleading, they have been begging, they have been doing everything they can to end this peacefully. But when the police say, that's not how we roll, can you blame these people for suddenly turning nasty? Who said Matty rolled and shook the building? Shut up, you. I'm not that bad. Fuck me. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, but no, can you really blame these people? Fuck's sake. Can you really blame these people for getting angry, for getting violent, when their children are being used? That's what it boils down to. Right now, as I've said, I don't condone this shit happening, but I will say this. This is coming to the United Kingdom if this doesn't stop. this will end up being the United Kingdom if our government doesn't start mass deportations. This is what's going to happen if the police don't stop with the two-tier bullshit. And when it does happen, Keir the traitor Starmer won't be able to blame the mythical far right. He won't be able to blame the Tories. He won't be able to blame Tommy Robinson or any other massive political figurehead on the right. He'll only have himself to blame. Remember, Keir the traitor Starmer and, of course, our two-tier policing society did everything in their power to cover up what happened in Southport. God rest the souls of those 3 girls. They did everything in their power to protect the T's rather than the people. So it stands to reason why I adamantly believe that Keir the traitor Starmer and the police stoked the Southport riots. Not Tommy Robinson, like the mainstream media from the oligarchy would have you believe. Tommy was calling for peace. Tommy was telling people not to bring the violence. But that's again something the mainstream media are not going to want to tell you. They'd rather draw up this narrative, and they think that this narrative is going to win them a place on the fucking National Art Gallery. You'll be lucky if it makes it to kindergarten, quite frankly. But they've tried to draw this narrative, and the people, they're just not buying it anymore. They've realised that all this government do is lie through their teeth. So that's why every time they try to say something, it goes in one ear and out the other. They don't understand. The media, they are no longer the media. We are. Independent journalists. How sad is it that somebody like me has more trust than our mainstream media? How sad is it that Tommy Robinson has much more trust than the mainstream media? Ask yourselves that question. Here's the bottom line. What's happened in Ireland is going to happen to the UK soon enough. There is no way in hell that we are going to last until the next election. Nick Tenconi, to his credit, went on to Dan Wootton's Outspoken show and basically said, we need to do everything peacefully, and the peaceful solution must be done politically. And I do agree with it, but the cold, bitter truth is, we're not going to get to that stage. At least not before violent revolution kicks off. Like, do you honestly think that this volcano, when it's starting to erupt, do you think that lava's just going to sit at the top and say, all right, hold it, lads, and then go over the top? Or sit there while we try and get a political resolution? Of course it isn't. When a volcano erupts, it fucking blows its top. And when it does, anyone in the path of that lava is simply cooked. Pun intended. We can't hope for a political resolution when we have dictators like Keir the traitor Starmer actively pushing for a violent revolution, a civil blank. We can't expect a solution to be coming over the hills anytime soon. What's happened in Dublin is going to happen here in the UK as well. Because now we've got Sharia no-go zones in the United Kingdom, where the Islamic extremists have taken over. They've taken over those cities and have declared no-go zones. So we're effectively not allowed to go where we want in our own fucking country. Do you honestly think, on the basis of that, we're going to get a peaceful resolution? No, not going to happen. That doesn't mean I condone a violent revolution or a civil blank. But what it does mean is that it is something that unfortunately is going to come in the time ahead. and we need to prepare for it. What's happened in Dublin, what happened to that girl, is an absolute abomination. The protests that are going on, the riots that are going on, are a reaction to more girls being violated. And the truth is, if the police and the governments wanted to solve this, they could have done so in an instant. They are complicit in allowing girls to be violated. They are complicit in allowing our communities to be endangered. That is something that cannot be forgotten nor forgiven. And when the time comes and they're forced to stand trial for endangering our kids, the gavel will come striking down, and they will be sent down to where they rightfully belong, behind bars, rotting away like they tried to do to Lucy Connolly.